I wanted to make this video as a combination of two things. One, kind of a throwback to a type of video which I used to do a lot of, which was like predictions lists and, hopeful vehicles that I think either should or could be a part of future Gran Turismo games. You'll have noticed I don't tend to do as much of that, which I guess in itself is kind of a fly in the face to the people who say that I only produce the videos that are going to get the most views, because those videos used to. The reason why I kind of stopped doing it is because it seemed less and less important in the current climate of Gran Turismo, and I think that's kind of a shame. It's almost like it's taken a bit of that imagination away, because we've kind of gotten to the point where even the people who used to clamour for certain cars to be added, I don't see that as much now. And I think that's partially because you kind of are starting to realise that Polyphony really doesn't care, for the most part, what the community wants. They're going to add whatever they want to add. And secondarily, because of the leaked data mine list, we already know a ton of the cars that are coming to the game anyway. And of course, we are way beyond the point of doubting that list at this point, because we've seen so many of them added, and they continue to be. So that kind of takes away some of the fun as well. But I still wanted to get back into the spirit of that kind of imagination, and also to use this as a conversation starter between myself and you folks down in the comments, because I'm very curious to see one thing in particular. Is there some kind of consensus? Not, of course, among everyone, which would technically be a consensus, but somewhere where an option keeps popping up to the point where it's the clear choice. You know what I mean? Like a majority, if you will. And what we're talking about here is a manufacturer that you think would be a great addition to the current climate of Gran Turismo, be it in like a sports style game or a 7 or an 8, whatever the case may be. I'm using Gran Turismo 7 as the template, with road cars in performance point levels, Group 4, Group 3, Group B, of course Group 2 and Group 1. Now I have two which are finalists for me. I love both of them as choices. One of them I definitely love more as a manufacturer, but the one that I've actually gone for, which chances are will be in the thumbnail, Bentley, I think is a smarter move. Now the other choice for me, the one which I would personally prefer, is actually Cadillac. I would love to see Cadillac in Gran Turismo, and if you think about it, they're kind of perfect in terms of placement. You've got the ATS-V as the road car, if you wanted to go for that one. Then of course you could have the ATS-V racing version. You could make a fictionalized Group 4 kind of machine out of it. And of course you've got the perfect choice of a Group 1 car in the form of their current hypercar, to go up against the Toyota hypercar that we already have in the game. Of course, I would love to represent Cadillac. I love them. They've been in the franchise before with the CTS-V and of course the Cian. So there is an opportunity there. I would not be surprised at all if some of you in the comments nominated Cadillac, and I would definitely agree. But for me, I have to go with Bentley ultimately, because I think that Bentley just fits so perfectly. It's kind of insane how well they fit into the current climate of the game. And the reason why I say that is, think of it this way. If you were to bring the Bentley Continental GT as the road version, one of the newer shaped cars, say a V8 or even the W12, of course the W12 being more desirable, then now you've got the baseline road car. You can tune it up, you can tune it down, etc. So there's your road car, sorted. There is of course already a GT3 version of the Bentley, so that gets Group 3 sorted nicely as well. Of course, they've shown to some degree a precedent for not really caring how up-to-date their Group 3 cars are, because you'll have some that are newer, you'll have more recently like Group 2 DTMs added to refresh that, but then you'll have on the total opposite end of the spectrum something like a Group 3 Nissan Silhouette car added, so they clearly don't care too much about keeping them the latest and greatest. So the Bentley is new enough to still be competitive for sure, and certainly would fit very well in that category. Then you could easily make even a fictional Group 4 version of the Bentley in a very similar vein to something like the Veyron. What they did with the Veyron is pretty much exactly what I envision, essentially the same shape, with a larger chin splitter, a larger rear spoiler, some stickers, and a lot less weight, and of course a lot less power. In the form of the Bentley, you'd have to drop that weight right down, considering that a Continental GT weighs far more than a Veyron, and lower the power to probably the 400 region, something like that. But it's a prime vehicle. I imagine it looking something like the Bentley Continental GT3R road car, with that kind of Porsche RS look to it. Then of course you have a really wild card pick, because now we've covered the road car, the Group 4 and the Group 3. I actually think a Bentley Continental GT would make for a pretty awesome Group B car. Imagine a wide-arched, huge spoiler, maybe even white liveried like the GT3 car, Bentley rally car. I think that would look awesome. It would be such a popular choice, I think, and you could already see it being massively popular for stuff like cash grinding, because it would doubtless, of course, being a rally car, have the four-wheel drive like the road car has. The weight would be much lower, the power would be great. Depending on what engine it has, probably the V8, you could probably get some pretty decent numbers out of it, and I think it would look fantastic as well. It would almost be more of a Pikes Peak kind of looking car. And then, of course, we get to the juicy stuff, and this is where the precedent is already there, because for those who maybe don't know, Bentley was in the franchise as recently as Gran Turismo 6, but we've only ever had one Bentley in Gran Turismo, and it is a really good one. The 2003 Le Mans winning Speed 8. I think this is a perfect opportunity to keep, of course, the Bentley Speed 8 in the lineup, to bring it back. Perfectly fills out Group 1. It would be kind of lonely in Group 1 because at the moment we don't really have any of those LMP 900 kind of cars represented, which is ironic given just how many of those we used to have. There were tons from even the 90s in the GT1 stuff, then to LMP 900, then to LMP1, and a lot of those have gone away, which is a shame because to me those are some of my absolute favourites. And the Bentley was always a massively, massively popular choice with the community. You already know the Bentley would be a hugely popular livery base. It would be a fantastic Group 1 car. I think it's got like 623 horsepower stock from a 4-litre V8. Of course, mechanically, it's derived from the Audi R8, which also had multiple Le Mans wins, so it's no surprise that it won. I've always considered the Bentley to be one of the best looking LMP cars of all time. And yeah, the only thing that would really be missing is, I guess, Group 2, because Bentley doesn't really have anything that immediately comes to mind in that category, and you could even, of course, have the perfect chance. I mean, just to make my point of Bentley being a great choice that much more perfect, you could entirely, or at least I could definitely see, in that Hagerty legendary dealership, like an old Bentley blower from the early days of Le Mans being in there for like, I don't know, 14, 15, whatever million credits that they are in real life. It would probably max out the numbers. I don't know what they're worth these days, but that would again be a prime choice. Bentley just makes so much sense. They have such a rich history of motorsport, they have a history with polyphony already, and they have a car in the form of the Continental GT that covers so many bases, from GT4 to GT3 to potentially rally, certainly to road, and of course a prime Group 1 car, as I said. So for me, I think I would have to choose Bentley. I'm not saying that Bentley is like my favourite brand to bring into the game, but I think in terms of brands that would make a lot of sense and be extremely useful in the current climate of how esports works, how the categories work in the game in terms of racing, I think Bentley just makes a lot of sense. So for me, that would be my pick, but I would really love to hear yours. What manufacturer would you bring to the game? And of course you could technically choose anything, so you could go super obscure and just say, I want Gumper, I just want the Gumper Apollo, you know, something like that, or the Caparo T1. Of course they'd be fantastic, but I'm thinking more so of manufacturers that aren't in the game at the moment, which could cover as many of those categories and bases as possible, with maybe the same car, because again the reason why I chose Bentley is because the Continental has that similar style to what they currently use, where you've got a Viper, then it's road car, Group 4, Group 3, you've got the Corvette, road car, Group 4, Group 3, it has that same kind of format of carrying the same car into multiple classes. So you could choose a manufacturer who would have an entirely different car for each class. That could be fun as well, some of them do that. But yeah, it depends what route you want to go down. So I'd love to hear your thoughts down below, and of course we'll have to see if something like that could happen. I could certainly see them bringing a brand like Cadillac, or even more so Bentley, back to the franchise. They've worked with them before, even as recently as GT6 in both cases, so it's not that outlandish at all of an idea. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. But ultimately that's it for my thoughts. Of course, give me yours down below, and stick around on the channel for more GT7 content. But for now, as always, thanks for watching.